If you know anything about me, you know I like chimps. Since I was a wee lad, I've been fascinated and amused and just tickled pink by chimps. I always thought it would be cool to have a chimp for a pet. I always wanted to hang out with chimps. I'm a chimpy guy. And then as time went on, initially clued in by a routine by comedian Dana Gould, but then the Chimp Crazy, I think it was called, recent documentary about chimps on HBO, I really was made aware that chimps can really mess you up seriously. When a chimp decides it doesn't like something about what you've just done or you, a chimp can really quite literally take you apart. So into that knowledge, I brought that knowledge to the film Primate. Now, I had seen a trailer for Primate, and I'm a pro chimp guy. I just know you want to keep your distance from a chimp. Give them the love, the protection, the respect they deserve, but you generally don't get too close to a chimp. I saw the trailer for Primate, and I thought, wow, this looks terrible. In the trailer for Primate, which I watched once, I swear it was a CGI chimp. I saw it, and I'm like, that is the fakest looking CGI chimp. It looks like when they would need a chimp in a Little Rascals short and they would put a guy in a chimp suit. How wrong I was, because this film came out and more people I know are going, it's a guy in a suit. And it's actually really good. And wow, this was really fun. So I was like, I've got the A-list. I might as well use it. I went to see Primate. And boy, did I have a fun time with this movie. It's a guy in a suit. I am all for guys in gorilla suits. I am all, and gals. Or I'm all for people in gorilla suits. I'm all for people in chimp suits. Because it looks like they're really there. Now, granted, yes, doesn't look like a real chimp. Because it doesn't look like a real chimp. It's a guy in a chimp suit. But the guy in the chimp suit really sold this movie. Basically, the story goes a little something like this. And this story does something that I hate, and it's hack screenwriting 101. And I've heard other people talk about this, and I'm glad it's not just me. We need to stop with the white hot fear that an audience may not pay attention long enough for your movie to get interesting, that you have to put, and damn, so many movies do this in TV shows, something really exciting happens right up front, and then it cuts to black and it says 72 hours earlier or 2 weeks earlier. And then the story really starts and it lets you progress up to that point. Meanwhile, they've told you up front, this is what's going to happen. Don't worry, something exciting is going to happen. We're going to give it to you right now. We're going to give you that ice cream sundae right now. Then we're going to take it away. Then we're going to make you eat the salad and then the entree, and then we'll give you the sundae eventually. I really wish movies would, or filmmakers or studios or whoever, screenwriters, would have faith that an audience would watch a movie that starts a little slow and builds up to things and builds up to things. The Exorcist doesn't start with the girl in the bedroom spitting the pea soup and then cut back to her being a lovely little girl again. It had faith that you would get to know these people. So when that bad thing did happen, you cared a lot about them. And personal rant, I just hate it. Every time a movie does that, I'm like, okay, now you need to win me back because you just did that stupid thing. So the movie starts off that way. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. The movie starts off with showing you that this chimp turns a corner at some point in the film. So guess what? When the chimp turns the corner in the film, it ain't a surprise. Of course, you went to the movie knowing this is a killer chimp film, but I feel like every film should play well if you don't know anything about it and treat the audience like it should be surprises. If you suddenly flipped over onto Primate and you didn't know what you were watching, speaking of a world that doesn't exist anymore, you didn't know what you were watching and you could actually be surprised by the twists in the film. What a wonderful world that would be. So Ben is a chimp. He is a chimp that has been raised by a family as one of their own. Father is a deaf, successful thriller novelist portrayed by Troy Kotsur, who you would know from the film, Oscar-winning actor. Primate has an Oscar-winning actor in it. Ben Kotsur you would know from Coda, which was a really good movie from a couple years ago. He's great in this. His wife is deceased. She was a behavioral doctor, scientist, and raised a baby chimp as though it was a human being. And you get a lot of this under the opening credits of the film, like newspaper clips and things like that, where the family, it's the father author, the mother scientist, the chimp as a child, basically, and then their two daughters. And the two daughters have grown up knowing this chimp as basically their brother. He has one of those little touch screens that lets him speak with words. I've seen cats allegedly do this on YouTube. And he knows like 300 words in sign language or something. So but he's a chimp. And as they get older, they get very powerful. So he does have a cage that he has to live in or sleep in at night. And he does have, his father has this high pitched whistle that he can whistle that hurts his ears, that makes him stop doing what he's doing if he gets a little overexcited. But otherwise, they live in this amazing, very remote house on a cliffside in Hawaii. And the basic story is that the main daughter that we're looking at, the person with whom we take the journey of this film, she has been away at college for a very long time, hasn't been home in a long time. There's resentment with her family that hasn't been home for a long time. She brings back a couple of friends, and they're going to have a big old party because they know mom sadly has been deceased and dad's going to be away. So they're going to have a big old rager with boneheaded dudes they met on the plane. And that's the basic setup of the film. Ben is there, and he is a loving, playful little chimp with the strength of 10 men. And eventually something happens where Ben is not himself anymore. And it really is a who will survive and what will be left of them story when Ben the chimp, brother Ben, is a rampaging mad monkey. Does he engage in mad monkey kung fu? I'm not going to tell you, but it's a very well crafted thriller. It is very creepy. It is very disturbing. It is very gory at times. It is funny at times too. Yes, the characters do stupid things that are done pretty solely so that the movie is not 15 minutes long, but I really enjoyed it. Only once did I think, you really could leave right now and you'd be okay. But other than that, it was a really good film. And as far as Chimpsploitation goes, this is a pretty good movie. As far as a horror movie goes, I don't see a lot of new horror movies that I like because they mostly do stupid stuff like I talked about a little bit earlier, or worse, they're just shaky and you can't see what's going on. This is, it's well shot. Apparently predominantly not shot in Hawaii or anywhere that looks like Hawaii. I think maybe it was mostly done on a soundstage in England, what it seemed to indicate from the end of the film. Yes, there's a film American in it because you kind of has to be apparently. And I thought it was really well done. Now, my thing about this movie is I do have an abiding love for chimps. I know they can literally rip your face off, but I do have a love for chimps. And when I first saw the trailer for this, I'm like, I don't know if I like this movie's tone, but it's very well made. And especially if you've seen something like Chimp Crazy or you know what a chimp can do, it makes it even more terrifying because that potential is always there. One thing I wish the film would have explored more, I'm looking for more character exploration in a film about a killer chimp, is that there isn't, I would have gladly sacrificed the opening of the movie, that shock opening, which pretty much replays again later in the film. Not in full. You get a bit more of the shock up front than you do when they replay it. They basically replay it to say, okay, now this is when this happens. But I would have gladly had that scene happen in the movie where it should happen linearly and use that extra 2 minutes to give, it's not something I'll usually say about a horror film, more character development. Because I don't feel like they really sold it well enough that this chimp to this family is viewed as a member of their family. As somebody, these girls who are in their late teens, early 20s, for maybe most of their lives have grown up with as just like your pet dog, or more than a pet, because he dresses in people's clothes and he eats at the table and he lives in their house. Basically their brother. I really wished it would have explored the emotion that they were feeling, and they do a little bit of this, but I feel like it would have landed more if you had more time with Ben before he goes crazy. You see this in zombie movies sometimes, where somebody who's a beloved family member, a father, mother, daughter, spouse, whatever, turns into a zombie, and the person who is now being threatened by that lethal character is very reluctant to shoot him in the head or push him off the building or do what they have to do to save themselves. They make themselves very vulnerable because they don't want to believe that this person who up until recently was someone they loved is now a thing that's trying to kill them. There wasn't enough of that, I thought, in the film, or there could have been more. I still really like this. There could have been more in a way that it made it a bit more emotionally impactful in a Chimpsploitation film, that they're coming to terms with, wait a minute, he's we love him, and he's just a little off, and we really can't do anything bad to him, or just the deep internal sorrow of this, of when they realize we really have to do something bad to this person we love in order for all of us to survive. I think there's a little of that in there, but I really kind of wish there was a bit more. And it's just because I love chimps so much. So I've rambled probably longer than most people will about a movie about a killer chimp, but I really enjoyed this. And there were only a couple things, I won't get into the plot any more specifically than that, but there were a couple things I might have done a little differently for greater visual impact, but overall, I think it's pretty well done. I think the bonehead characters are there to, the two bonehead dudes are there for a very specific purpose. And when they show up in the film, I just kind of giggled because I knew what their purpose was. And this film does not pull any punches. It is very gruesome. So enter at your own risk. But if you want to watch like Shakma and Link and Monkey Shines and Primate, you could have a heck of a sanguinarily simian day. In theaters currently, streaming forevermore, Primate.